Hello once again, my friends. I'm here in Thessaloniki. I've got my freddo cappuccino with brown sugar. So I'm starting off on the right foot and I'm going to meet a friend of mine, Archaeostoryteller, goes by Archaeostoryteller on Instagram. He is an archaeologist, an archaeotrollist, and the archaeologist of our liver, as per his Instagram account. We're going to ask him what that means. His real name, of course, is Theo Papakostas, Theodoros Papakostas. Let me introduce you to him. Mr. Theo Papakostas, welcome.
Hello, how are you?
We're all good. How are you?
I'm just fine.
You good? What have you been doing today?
I've been hanging out with you.
So far, so good. That's a good way to start the day, I think.
True.
I think so.
True story.
Depends who you ask. First question.
Yep.
Archaeologist of our liver on your Instagram account. What does that mean?
Everybody's of our hearts.
Right.
The so-and-so of our hearts. I chose to be of the liver. I'm just trolling.
I feel like I already know you because you post quite regularly and you're so genuine online with your stories and the way, your humor. So I feel like I've known you for so long already, to be honest. I don't know if other people tell you that as well.
They do, and I'm very thankful for that because I'm not trying to pretend to be somebody else.
Yeah.
I'm just being silly
Right.
online.
Yeah.
And I don't really think about it. That's a trick.
That's a good way to, yeah.
And it's okay to make fun of yourself. Don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, I'm trying to communicate my own discipline, archaeology, in a more fun and accessible way to a group of people who might have not yet discovered how incredible the ancient past is, so that they can learn to appreciate it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
You won't be able to catch it on camera,
Yeah.
but we are stepping on top of parts of the ancient palatial complex of the Roman Empire who used to live here.
Wow, okay.
Because few people know that Thessaloniki used to be the seat of a Roman emperor, Caesar, to be honest.
Right, okay.
For very few years, but still, it counts.
Still counts.
His name was Galerius, and he was famous. He used to be a shepherd.
Okay.
And he enrolled in the army.
Yep.
The army's not the army anymore.
The army's not the army anymore.
This is before there was the schism, right, between East and West Roman Empire? Or was
Yes,
it,
yes, yes.
Before, okay.
Not long before. It's
Okay.
late antiquity. It's the late Roman Empire.
Right,
And they split it into four.
right.
It's a tetrarchy.
Okay,
So one of them, the four people who ruled the Roman Empire, was Galerius.
right.
And he decided to make Thessaloniki the seat of government.
Right.
So he built the palatial complex, a palace.
Yep.
He built an arch of triumph, we'll see it later on.
Uh-huh.
And Thessaloniki used to have a hippodrome,
right,
chariot racing complex, and this is where we are right now.
So it's underneath
You can show people around and they won't be able to see anything.
No.
But if you go down this road,
Yes, over there, yep.
you'll see that the road still has the shape of the center of the hippodrome. This way.
Was it lower than it is now? We're higher?
It is lower, yes, we are a lot
Right,
higher.
Okay.
About 5 or 6 meters higher.
Right.
Do
Fascinating.
you use the metric system in Australia?
Metric system, yes.
Yeah, so it's just the Americans.
Just the Americans, as far as I know. I don't know about the Canadians, actually. I'm not sure.
Me neither. There's a gruesome story.
Yeah.
You know how people today are obsessed with football players?
Yes, of course.
Back at the time, it was chariot races. There were fun clubs and everything. People were obsessed with the various jockeys that used to run. the
Jockeys,
chariot races.
right, yes.
And there was this famous jockey here in Thessaloniki who had a secret affair
Yeah.
with the son of the general of the police force. The young man's father didn't approve,
Right.
so he captured the jockey
Yes?
and imprisoned him.
Right.
That infuriated his fans. There was a riot in Thessaloniki, and they started burning shops and
Oh my goodness.
revolting against the police.
Yeah.
And in order to subdue this riot,
Yeah.
the Emperor Theodosius at the time had a trick.
Okay.
He ordered a ceasefire. Like, okay, yes, I agree, you're right, we'll let him loose.
Yes.
And he organized new chariot races in the hippodrome, so that the people could gather up here and when everybody was in the stadium, he locked the doors and ordered the police to slaughter everybody. About 7,000 people died that day, and it was one of the greatest massacres in the history of Thessaloniki and the Roman Empire in general. And there's this story that they placed a plaque with the names of the people
Who were massacred that day?
yes, like a memorial.
Yes.
And this plaque used to ooze blood, the legend says,
Right.
for years afterwards on the day of the anniversary of the massacre.
right.
Yeah. But these are all, you know, urban legends and
Wow,
stories.
yeah, lots of stories. I'm sure because you've gone so deep into that field, you've heard all these interesting stories.
Exactly, that's
I've
the
only
point.
touched the surface. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not just
right.
it's not just dates.
The facts. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
this
yeah.
is with the Corinthian style. This temple has a Doric column or an Ionic column.
That's good to know to a certain
Exactly.
point.
Yes, it's
But
okay, but you should look
the human
beyond that.
side.
So, as I said, Elias was a Roman Caesar,
Right.
which practically meant an emperor.
Yeah.
And he built this palace here. We wouldn't have known about all this if it weren't for archaeology, because the historical sources don't really care about this stuff.
Ah, right,
And we
okay.
know that he made Thessaloniki the seat of his government because we found the royal mint where he minted his coins, his the royal issues.
Here in Thessaloniki.
Yes, and we know that the royal mint followed the emperor wherever he went.
I'm getting an education today, guys. So where are we here? What's this all about?
This, you see here,
Yes.
is the remains of the palace.
The one that you mentioned, right?
Yes, these are the private residence
Right,
of the
right,
emperor. Yes.
right.
Galerius and his wife Valeria Galleria. In 1917,
Yeah.
Thessaloniki was the whole center was obliterated by a huge
fire, right?
fire. Yes.
Right, yes, okay.
So this is one of the ancient monuments that was rediscovered at the time,
Right.
and it remained intact. It wasn't built over
Right.
because at the time archaeology wasn't the main concern of
Yes,
the Greek
yes, of
state.
course, of course, of course.
We've lost other monuments like the Egyptian temple found here in Thessaloniki.
Egyptian temple.
Exactly, a temple to the Egyptian gods, because at some point the world became universal through the Hellenistic era, through the journey of Alexander the Great, and the
Right,
campaign,
right.
splitting up of the empire.
Right.
But the various Hellenistic states were very Hellenized. That's
Right.
why it's called the Hellenistic era.
Right.
So it's not just Greek culture that traveled around the world, it's other cultures that came here as well.
Right, right, right.
So
okay.
the Egyptian gods were very much loved by the Greeks, especially Isis, because she was practically the caring mother.
Right.
That was her main attribute, and that's always useful and close to every human's heart.
Is it?
To have a caring mother.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of mythology has like a mother as the beginning of everything.
Exactly,
Gaia
yes.
and all that sort of stuff.
Exactly.
Right? Is it fair to say that Greek gods mythology has its foundations in Egyptian mythology?
No.
Right.
There might be similarities because people communicated with each other.
Right, right.
They shared ideas. There was this back and forth of concepts that influenced each other. You can pinpoint and examine the various influences, and that's okay because
Okay.
it shows you. For example, in ancient times, ancient religion had this the thing we call religious syncretism.
Okay.
That they didn't have what monotheistic religions have now, that my God is better than yours.
Right.
They had this cool attitude that we call him Zeus, you call him Osiris.
Right, okay,
It's okay, it's the same God but with different name.
Right, okay. Interesting, because you hear lots of things on the internet. That's why it's good to come to someone that knows what they're talking about.
Everything's on the internet.
Everything's on the
There's
internet,
very
right.
pseudoscientific information as well.
Right,
a lot of
right.
pseudoscientific information. And it's up
It's
to
good,
us
yeah.
as the viewers to try to
Filter out which was,
Exactly.
It's difficult though for someone that has never studied history, I guess, or archaeology.
No, but you can check. Can you check that
Okay.
any person who's on the internet, can you check? Is he an archaeologist? Is he a
Right.
historian? Or she?
Right, right.
Are they, do they have a degree on something?
Yes,
do
yes.
they know what they're talking about? For example, you wouldn't take information about your health from an archaeologist.
Of course not. Correct. Theo here just told me, Theo, can we call you Theo?
Theo, Ted, however you want.
Ted, Theo, no. And he's done a TED Talk, by the way.
I had one TED Talk on TEDx Athens in
Yes.
2019.
Yeah.
And then I was the host of the entire TEDx Athens conference in 2021.
So you were just telling me about this.
Yes,
Armada here, right?
let's show this one. That's the Arch of Triumph.
Is it like the Arc de Triomphe, like in France? Same name, right?
Yes, yes.
The Arc of Triumph,
and
right.
it's a way for the influencers of ancient times to show off. There were no social media. There was no TV channels.
Right.
Galerius had to prove that I did something great.
Right,
I
okay.
went to the Far East, not the Far East, the Middle East.
Yes.
And I conquered the Parthians, the Parthian Empire.
Right.
So I had to show off to the people of my own empire, to my subjects,
Yes.
how victorious I was.
Yes.
So he built this arch, and all the reliefs show the campaign of Galerius against the Parthians.
Oh,
So
right.
that's why you
So
see
you can
elephants and camels and various other animals. But you see that building over there?
Yes.
That's the most important part of all,
Yes.
because it's just a small building he built for his grave.
Oh, right. Is that what that is?
He wasn't narcissistic at all.
My good, not at all. Look at that thing. It's huge. What is the first example of civilization in Thessaloniki? What's the furthest back we can go to trace and say that's the first civilized group of people that lived here in Thessaloniki?
We have traces of humans inhabiting Thessaloniki since prehistoric times.
Right.
In the center, there was a Neolithic settlement. We're talking about 5,000 years before Christ.
Right. Okay. So
But-
7,000 years ago, roughly.
Exactly,
Right, yeah.
yes. But there were various small villages and hamlets around the Gulf of Thessaloniki.
Right.
And in 315 BC,
Yep.
one of the successors of Alexander the Great, King Cassander or Kassandros,
Yeah.
decided he married Alexander's sister,
Right.
Thessaloniki,
Ah.
and he founded a city here in her honor for his wife.
Right.
So that's why it's called Thessaloniki.
Right.
It's a girl's name.
That was her name.
Yes, that was her name.
Alexander's sister.
Because when she was born, her father and Alexander's father, Philip II, had just conquered the Thessalians.
Right. Okay.
So he had a victory against the Thessalians. So he decided to name the newly born daughter Thessaloniki.
Niki is the Greek word for
Victory over the Thessalians.
Thessalians.
It's a
Right.
weird name. Thessaloniki was built as a mega city from the outset.
Oh, it was. Okay.
And it remained a great city. It became even greater when the Romans came. The Romans conquered the kingdom of Macedonia,
Right.
and they made Thessaloniki its capital.
Right.
And they loved it, and they came here, they settled here,
Mm-hmm.
and the city expanded. There were immigrants from Palestine. There were there's the first wave of Jewish population that inhabited Thessaloniki
Mm-hmm.
came in ancient times, and the other groups of people came as well, because it was a huge port and a very important city for the entire Balkan Peninsula.
Right, right. Because of its geographical location, right? It
Exactly.
has significance for a lot of different people. It sounds like it's like a crossroad almost for the area.
Exactly. Yes, it's very important door for the entire Eastern Europe,
Right. Okay.
because it connects the Mediterranean and the Black Sea with the Balkan Peninsula and Central Europe as well.
So this is we're talking about what, maybe 400 AD?
Around late 4th century BC, AD.
AD, right, after
yes.
Christ, okay,
But
okay.
it wasn't used as a burial place.
It wasn't?
It was used initially as a pantheon, a temple for all gods.
All God's pantheon.
It was
Right.
later converted into a Christian church
Right.
for the angels. Then it became a church for St. George. And finally, when the Ottoman Empire conquered Thessaloniki, it became a mosque.
And it's right here in the middle of these suburbs. These are Thessaloniki suburbs here, which is fascinating to me.
Yes,
It just gives the city character. I mean, apart from its historical significance,
if it were to be built today, this wouldn't have been allowed.
this wouldn't have been allowed, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay, of course.
But in the 50s and 60s, just after the Second World War,
Right.
people had a huge housing crisis.
Right, okay.
And government was a bit more
Lenient?
lenient on allowing these massive, ugly buildings to be built.
Yeah, right. Well, look, I wouldn't mind living in one of those and waking up to see this every day. To
exactly.
Be honest.
If you're opposite that, you love
Yes,
it. Yeah.
yes. Where are we now?
We are in front of just one of the many Byzantine churches in Thessaloniki, Thessaloniki is a UNESCO monument it's the best preserved Byzantine city in the world.
Oh, really?
The Byzantine Empire
Yeah.
was the continuation of the Roman Empire.
Right. Yes. Yes.
When it split into the western part, dissolved into what we know as the later European states.
Yes.
But the eastern part became the Byzantine Empire.
Right,
Which
okay.
was mainly Christian.
Okay.
The main population was Greek. Of course, there were other ethnicities as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Thessaloniki was the second biggest city of the empire.
After Constantinople.
Exactly. Constantinople.
really?
Constantinople was the first.
Yes.
And Thessaloniki was just after that.
Oh,
it was very
okay.
important at the time. That's why it was called Symvasilevousa, the
Symbasilev-
co-regent.
Right there.
Yeah.
The co-capital sort of thing.
Exactly. That's why we still call it co-capital
Right.
of Greece,
Yes.
in honor
Thessaloniki.
of its 1,000-year-old history as the
Right.
second biggest city of the Byzantine Empire.
I had no idea. That's amazing.
And this is the church of Saint Panteleimon, one of the many. But I want to show you that small chapel over there.
Let's go for a walk. Is it fair to say that the Eastern Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire, was in a way the continuation of the Greek world from from antiquity?
Yes, of course there were changes. There was
Right.
a new religion. There were new concepts introduced. There's a distinct continuation of Greek culture, but of course changed and incorporated new elements.
Right.
Lost some aspects of the past, but gained new ones.
Yep.
Because Christianity played a huge
role,
part.
right.
They spoke Greek, they acted Greek, they lived like Greeks, but
Yeah.
they didn't want to say they were Greeks.
Oh, right.
And the rest of the world, for example, other states
Yes.
that had diplomatic contacts with them, they were telling them, "You Greeks," and the business were like, "No, we're not Greeks, we're Romans." That's why even to this day, when you say Romnios,
Yes.
you actually mean Greek.
So this little monastery, this little church here, tell us a little bit about it. Where are we?
Can you see that? No, you can't see it here.
Yeah.
The top part is
Yes. top
tilting.
up. Oh, it is tilting. You're right. Yes.
We'll see it later on.
Yes.
From another angle.
Yes.
Because they tried to open a door over there.
Oh,
Turn
right
the
here.
camera again.
Yes, this door
Yes.
here, right?
And that changed the stability of the building.
Oh, this door here.
Exactly, yes. So they had to build over it once again
Yeah.
in order to save it, and that stayed slightly like the
Right.
Leaning Tower of
Pisa.
Thessaloniki.
Not Pisa, Thessaloniki.
Exactly.
I can see what you mean here,
Pardon,
Theo. You can see, if I turn it around the camera, you can see that it's leaning to the left relative to the lines of the building. Unless the buildings are leaning the other way. No, they're straight.
I'm sure they don't.
It's the top part of this church, right?
It's about 1,000 years old.
1,000 years old. This little building here. You know, again, it's interesting to me that we're in the middle of all this, all these buildings, and in the middle you've got this
Concrete jungle, yeah.
the concrete jungle. You've got
You have
this
this
little
small, minimal brick building.
thing. You know, it seems like one day these other buildings will be gone,
Hopefully.
but this will still be here. Maybe, hopefully, that's what we're
Hopefully,
saying.
yes.
Yeah.
And Thessaloniki had the Byzantine past for about 1,000 years.
Right.
Until 1430, when it was finally conquered by the Ottoman Empire, and it became part of the Ottoman Empire,
Right.
which had Istanbul as its capital. Constantinople became Istanbul,
Yes.
and Thessaloniki, Selanik or Salonika,
Yeah.
remained the second largest and most important city of yet another empire. In the 16th century, the Jewish populations of Spain and Portugal arrived here,
Right.
and they reinforced the Jewish community of Thessaloniki,
Right.
and it became a city of three different races and religions. 1/3 were Jews, 1/3 were Turks or Ottomans,
Yep.
another third was Greeks or Christians.
Right.
As you can see, you can practically see the oval shape of the center of the hippodrome.
So this is almost like here, the horses would be going around.
Exactly,
Coming
yes.
up there, going around. Did they drive on the right-hand side in ancient times? Because
They
in
say that in
Australia, we
Roman
drive on
times,
the left, so I'm just-
exactly.
yeah,
They
right.
say that it's due to the Romans. They had to have the right hand free in order to salute the person.
Fascinating, fascinating.
But that may be a
and now
myth.
it's to change gears.
Exactly.
In Athens,
Yep.
when they were digging underground to build the metro station system,
Yep.
they found lots of archaeological
They did.
artifacts and almost like another city underneath Athens, right?
True.
Is it true for Thessaloniki as well?
They have been building it for about 2 decades now. They
Done
did
it.
find a huge part of the ancient city. It's a crossroads, one of the most important crossroads of the Roman and the Byzantine parts of the city. It was amazing. I had as being an archaeologist, I could go underneath and see it when it was first dug up.
Yes.
It was amazing. You could practically see the marble slabs, the pedestrian walk, how's it called? The sidewalks.
Sidewalks, yeah, the footpaths, the sidewalks.
And the shops to the left and right of the street. Almost as if they were deserted yesterday. It was amazing, but unfortunately it has been taken apart and it will be partially reassembled. We screamed, we protested,
That's what the argument was for.
yeah,
right?
exactly. In order to preserve, we should.
preserve
We
it,
believe
yeah.
as archaeologists that we should do anything to preserve that
Of course.
jewel for the city.
Of
But
course, of course.
money talks, and modern states don't care about the ancient past as much as they should,
That's a shame.
and that's for the entirety of the world. The city's trademark, the White Tower.
The White Tower, they've
That's
got
the White
people,
Tower.
right?
It's
And what?
actually,
Yep.
it was initially Venetian because the Venetians came as well. For
Venetians, right?
a little
yes.
while,
Yeah.
but it's mostly Ottoman. It was part of the Ottoman fortification of the city.
Right. Okay.
Because the city remained part of the Ottoman Empire for about 500 years.
Okay.
And as I said, it was huge up until 1912, when it was liberated by the Greek army from southern Greece, and it was incorporated into the Greek
world, right?
the Greek
Greek
state.
nation, yeah, the Greek state,
exactly.
yeah, right.
And then 5 years after that, in 1917, there was a huge fire that burned down the entire city
Right.
center,
Okay.
and was rebuilt from scratch.
And from what I understand, when the Greeks from the south came here to reclaim the city as part of the Greek state, it was only a few hours before some of our northern neighbors arrived.
It was part of the Balkan War. Serbians, the Bulgarians, and the Greeks
Yes.
united against the Ottoman Empire.
Yes.
But then they split into 2 parts, and the Serbians and the Greeks fought against the Bulgarians.
Yes.
And whoever captured each part of the Balkan Peninsula got to keep it.
The keeper, right.
So
right.
everybody wanted to have Thessaloniki.
Of course.
And it was a matter of hours before and actually there's this cute story that the Turkish governor of Thessaloniki decided to delay the Bulgarian regiments
Right.
in order to allow for the Greeks
Is that right?
to come here first, because he felt like we took it from them, we should give it to them.
Oh wow.
It was kind
okay.
of cute like that.
That's
yes.
interesting. I mean, is it fair to say that, we dig up these things underground and there's these other ancient cities? Is there a Greek element to what's underneath, or is it more Roman? Are there Greek
As we
findings?
go from top to bottom,
Yes.
find the Ottoman past, the Byzantine past, the Roman past,
Yes.
the Greek past,
Yeah.
and then the prehistoric. It goes back to thousands of years.
Right.
But you get down to the initial founding of the city, foundation of 315 BC, which was Greek
Which is Greek, yeah.
for about 200 or 300 years. Then it became Roman,
Right. Okay.
then Byzantine,
Right.
then Ottoman, then Greek again.
Right. Tell me a little bit about your podcast, by the way.
I have a podcast in Greek,
In Greek,
called
yeah.
Archaeostoryteller. It's about transmitting information about ancient Greece, but in a very fun and casual way, interspersed with various songs, either Greek or worldwide music. There's a lot of Sia in my podcast. She's Australian as well. I love her. She's amazing.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
Kylie Minogue as well.
Kylie Minogue. I remember you've mentioned Kylie Minogue and Madonna.
I have a question for you though.
Talk to me.
Do actually women glow and do men plunder? It's from the song.
What's
You
this
come from a land down under.
Oh,
Do women glow? Do men plunder?
I better be careful what I say here.
I hope men stopped plundering.
I think it happened a long time ago. I think it suits the rhyming of the song. As someone that's not from Australia, what's the first thing you think of when you think of Australia?
Well, being a Greek, I'm
Yes.
thinking of the huge Greek community over there.
Yes, in Melbourne especially. right?
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of koalas,
Yes.
kangaroos.
Yes.
I remember this fairy tale.
Yeah.
It's not a fairy tale. It's a story
Yep.
about Anna and the kangaroo.
Anna and the kangaroo.
Yeah, that's what it
Oh,
was.
okay.
Anna, she was lost somewhere in the outback,
Right.
and there was she befriended the kangaroo, and they went through all these
Adventures, right?
adventures
Right,
before they
right,
managed
right.
to go back to civilization.
Okay.
Yeah,
Don't know that one. I'll have to look it up. Anna
Anna and the kangaroo.
and the kangaroo. Okay. I'm
maybe
looking that one up.
maybe it's not Anna, but it was how it was translated here in Greek.
Maybe.
Yeah, could be
Okay.
Jezebel or whatever.
Well, there was one I remember. I think it was called Dot and the kangaroo, like Dorothy. Dot and the kangaroo.
That must be it.
Well, if we turn the camera around just now, we'll see
Statue of Alexander the Great.
the last part of our discussion. Alexander the Great. Yes.
He was great indeed.
Why was he great? Why is he considered great?
He was he died when he was 33 years old, and he had already conquered almost all of the entire civilized world at the time. He was very influential. He was very smart, very ingenious,
Yep.
very brave. He wasn't a saint. We should,
Make that clear.
yeah, exactly. And we shouldn't think of any historical figure of that volume, especially
As saintly.
yes, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
We should see them for the entirety of the personage,
Right.
both the good and bad things that they had. But
Sure.
he was a remarkable human being, to be honest.
I mean, 33
and he
to
was-
conquer the known world. It sounds great.
Exactly.
It sounds amazing.
Yes.
Okay.
The Greek world and the Persian Empire at the time were in a constant. It was like a Cold War. The Persian Wars happened in the 5th century BC, when the Persian Empire attacked the Greek peninsula and it
Darius,
lost.
right?
Exactly.
Darius,
yes.
yeah.
They lost,
In Marathon.
but they kept bugging the Greek states and the Greek world through different means. I mean, they would pay the Spartans to attack the Athenians. They would pay the Athenians to attack the Spartans.
Right,
In
okay.
order to keep them divided.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And it was a very long dream in the Greek world that at some point we should attack the Persians themselves.
right.
It
Okay.
was kind of like the US and Russia in the
Right.
20th century.
Right.
And at some point,
But Greece is much smaller even back then, right, compared to the Persian Empire.
yes, exactly.
Wow. Okay.
It was kind of a David and Goliath thing.
Right. Right.
And Alexander was actually the one who managed to pull it off.
The first
And
one.
he
and the
did
one
conquer the entirety of the
Persian Empire.
Empire.
Amazing.
But he died soon afterwards,
Yes.
and he left no heir.
Yes.
So
right.
the empire split up into different parts. Fun fact is that many Greeks, many Thessalonians view Thessaloniki as Alexander's city, but he died in 323,
Yeah.
and Thessaloniki was founded in 315. But it was named after his half sister.
His half sister. We said it before, right? Thessaloniki.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
Right. Okay.
She was the daughter of a king. She was the wife of a king and mother
Mother?
of 3 different kings.
Of Macedonia.
And the
right.
sister of the greatest king of them all, Alexander the Great. So she was practically a royalty of grand stature herself.
Your new book is going to be in English. It is in English.
My first book is going to be in English.
Yes.
I have published 3 books so far.
Yes.
My first book, How to Fit All of Ancient Greece in an Elevator, is to be published next summer 2024,
In English.
by William Collins in English. A quick and easy introduction to the entirety of the ancient Greek world, including the most frequently asked questions about archaeology as a discipline in general.
Right. I noticed that the way you've written the book, it's a bit like questions and answers. It's almost like a bit of a discussion.
2 people get trapped in an elevator.
Right.
Because
Okay.
why not?
Yes,
It had
why
to be
not?
surreal.
Yes.
And in order to spend some time, they start talking. And the one says, I'm an archaeologist. And the other one says, I love archaeology, but I don't know much about it.
Right.
The other one's like, okay, I can explain it to you in a bit.
Yeah.
It's not fiction, it's non-fiction.
Right. Okay. But
And it's not-
that's just the setting. right?
Exactly,
Yeah,
yes. It's obvious that the other person asks deliberate questions in order to get the narrative
Information. Yeah,
moving.
of course.
But well, it's non-fiction, so
Well, I guess
I'm allowed to do
yes, it's almost like the Socratic dialogues that Plato wrote.
Exactly,
right? It's
yes.
dialogue form.
that. Exactly.
Thank you so much for everything.
Thank
today.
you.
Really
It was
appreciate
amazing.
it. It's a pleasure meeting you. Tell us where people can find you.
You can find my podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, wherever you look. Of course, it's in Greek.
Archaeostoryteller.
Archaeostoryteller. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, practically everywhere. Just Google Archaeostoryteller and you'll see loads of it.
Thank you so much, Theo Papakostas. It was an awesome chat with you. A great walk.
That's supposed to be hard, but
there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you.
Take care.